The story of the P-51 Mustang's arrival over Europe is one of the most dramatic turning points in aerial warfare. For years, Allied bomber crews were forced to fly deep into German territory with little or no long-range fighter protection. Luftwaffe pilots were confident, experienced, and fully aware that the heavy bombers lacked the speed and maneuverability to survive without escorts. To them, these missions looked like opportunities. But everything changed on the day sleek, powerful American fighters suddenly appeared high above the cloud line. The P-51 Mustang wasn't just another aircraft. It was a machine that rewrote the balance of air power, and it shocked the Luftwaffe in a way few weapons ever had. To understand the impact of the Mustangs, we have to travel back into the terrifying skies of 1943 and 1944, where massive bomber formations stretched from horizon to horizon, engines roaring, crews tense and alert. The American strategy depended heavily on daylight bombing raids. The idea was simple: hit military factories, supply centers, oil plants, and railways in broad daylight to maximize accuracy. But this meant flying through enemy territory where the skies belonged to the Luftwaffe. Although smaller in number than at the war's start, German pilots remained highly skilled. They flew aircraft like the Bf-109 and the Fw-190, fast and deadly machines that could tear through bomber formations with brutal efficiency. The Americans had tried escort fighters before, such as the P-47 Thunderbolt and the P-38 Lightning. While these were fine aircraft, they lacked one key element: the ability to escort bombers all the way to the deepest targets inside Germany. Thunderbolts and Lightnings could accompany the bombers for part of the journey, but they eventually had to break off and return to base. This was the moment the Luftwaffe was waiting for. Once the escorts turned back, the German fighters rose in force, surrounding the bombers, diving in from above, firing into engines, wings, and cockpits. Hundreds of American crews never returned. German pilots became confident. They believed they had the upper hand. They thought no Allied fighter could stay with the bombers long enough to challenge them over their homeland. And for a time, they were right. Then the P-51 Mustang arrived. The first thing Luftwaffe pilots noticed was the silhouette. Sleek, powerful, elegant, with a long nose housing the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, the Mustang didn't look like anything the Americans had flown before. It had incredible range, nearly 1,600 miles with drop tanks, meaning it could escort bombers from England to Berlin and back. Its speed and climb rate were exceptional. Its maneuverability rivaled anything the Germans had in the air, and its armament gave it frightening lethality. Suddenly, the Luftwaffe's advantage began to crumble. On those early missions, German pilots would dive out of the sun expecting to find helpless bombers. Instead, they met groups of fast, aggressive fighters ready to intercept them. The Mustangs approached from angles the Luftwaffe wasn't used to. They climbed rapidly from low altitudes, they dove through cloud gaps, and they used tight turns and high-speed passes to break up German attack formations. To the bomber crews below, the sight of P-51s forming up on the wings was nothing short of miraculous. Many later described the Mustangs as angels appearing out of nowhere. As word spread through the Luftwaffe, panic began to set in. Pilots who had once flown confidently now had to check every direction. The Mustang could attack from long distances, close in fast, and strike without warning. Its presence changed the psychology of the battlefield. Suddenly, German pilots were on the defensive. But the Mustang wasn't just a terror in close combat. Its long range gave Allied commanders something they had never had before: the ability to hunt the hunters. Instead of waiting for German fighters to attack the bombers, P-51 groups were dispatched ahead of the bomber formations, searching for Luftwaffe airfields and intercepting fighters before they could even take off. This strategy, combined with the Mustang's incredible performance, slowly crushed German air power. Some Luftwaffe pilots, interviewed after the war, described the first time they saw Mustangs overhead. Many admitted they thought the Americans were using a new aircraft from the future. The Mustang didn't bleed speed in turns the way other fighters did. It could climb fast enough to surprise even experienced German aces. It could dive at frightening speeds without shaking apart. German pilots who once dove aggressively now feared diving too low, knowing a Mustang could follow them all the way down. The Mustang also had a secret advantage: visibility. The bubble canopy allowed pilots an unobstructed view in every direction. In dogfights, seeing the enemy first often meant winning. Many German pilots who attempted surprise attacks found themselves shocked when Mustang pilots turned instantly toward them. That kind of awareness could mean the difference between life and death. Meanwhile, down below, bomber crews felt a sense of relief they hadn't known before. Previously, long missions were filled with dread. The moment the escort fighters left, anxiety set in. But once the Mustangs started escorting the bombers deep into Germany, the dynamic changed dramatically. Pilots reported feeling safer, more confident, and more willing to fly missions that had once seemed suicidal. The Mustangs weren't just aircraft, they were lifelines. As months passed, the Luftwaffe suffered devastating losses. Many of their best pilots were gone. Many of their new pilots had far less training. German factories were being bombed by the very formations the Luftwaffe could no longer reach. And above those formations flew the aircraft that symbolized the turning tide, the P-51 Mustang. This wasn't just a technological victory. It was a strategic triumph. The Mustangs allowed the Allies to maintain constant pressure on Germany, attacking factories, fuel supplies, airfields, and transportation networks. Without air superiority, Germany could not protect its skies, its cities, or its soldiers. The Mustang's arrival marked the moment the Luftwaffe truly lost control of the air. But beyond strategy, the Mustang also created some of the most dramatic individual stories of the war. Tales of pilots pushing their planes to the limits, risking everything to protect the men flying in the bombers. Stories of desperate dogfights, where Mustangs faced overwhelming numbers but still managed to hold the line. Many pilots described the Mustang as an extension of their own body, a machine that responded instantly to every command. What made the Mustang so beloved was not only its power but its balance. It wasn't just fast, it handled beautifully. It wasn't just long range,